Hey, everybody, and welcome to Unfiltered. My name is Philip Macko. I'm your host, and the reason I call these segments Unfiltered is because I pick a topic. I do not prepare anything. I just talk top of mind, and hopefully I add some value, and I think I will, because here's my first topic today. I'm going to talk about sales plan stupidity. Sales plan stupidity. Now is the time mid-year when we start building towards that, chicken bone, that look in a crystal ball period we call sales forecasting for the next year. And it's interesting, I can't tell you how many organizations I've worked with, talked to, even been a part of, that approach the sales plan like this. They say, we can't have another year like we had this year. Next year, we're going to knock it out of the park. We had 6%, 8%, fill in the blanks number growth this year. Next year, we need 25%. We can do it, right? Funny thing about that strategy is between December and January, there's just a flip of a calendar page. If you're not doing the things now to grow incrementally next year, it's going to be too late by the time you do that sales plan. So that's stupidity number one. Stupidity number two, a lot of organizations do it this way. They empower their sales team to create their own sales plan, right? So salespeople do their due diligence. They look at their client base. They factor attrition. And they ask themselves, what can I really deliver next year? And I like to think salespeople are going to put together realistic but aggressive targets. So they do. And those targets go up the chain, usually to a district manager in a large organization, and sometimes to the VP of sales if they were. But what becomes interesting is then the district manager up to vice president puts their own spin on it, right? You know what? I'm going to push my folks harder than that. So generally, they'll tack on a few percent. They pass it up to the president of the organization, who, guess what? Tacks on their own percent, right? That's not good enough. We need to grow further than that. We've got expansion plans. You need to push your team, blah, blah, blah. And then it becomes a trickle-up, trickle-up, trickle-down sales plan, where there's bumps on the way up, there's bumps on the way back down, and by the time the sales rep gets it back in their hand, they're like, what even is this? And here's the problem with unrealistic sales plans. We all start the year the same way, right? We're like, okay, we're going to go march out there and do it, right? But if the sales plan is unrealistic, by the end of Q1, we salespeople know it. And it no longer becomes a stretch goal for us. It becomes a punitive disincentive. It does. We're measured against something all of us know we can't hit. And in the cases, and many times these are cases, especially when you think about mature territories, sales reps who have been in the market 5+ years, their growth is going to be incremental in nature. And if you give them an explosive sales plan, sure, you've got the carrot and stick approach and you can beat them with the stick, but eventually, when it's unrealistic, it just becomes a demotivator. So here is my strong recommendation. And it's something I've implemented in the past, and I had really, really good success when I did. I created 2 plans. Absolutely, I had my stretch goals, right? Absolutely, I said, here is what we want to be aiming for and shooting for. But I created a second level, what I called the operating plan. And here's the science behind the operating plan. And this, by the way, goes out to the entire organization. Sit down and think about the true costs of your business, and think about the new investments into your business you want to do next year, be it personnel, be it marketing, events, be it a combination of all of those things, and come up with a bottom line number that absolutely has to be hit. And maybe this number is 4% growth, 6% growth, whatever it is. There needs to be a justification behind it, and present that to your sales professionals and say, look, team, here's what we're aiming for at a minimum next year. In order to keep the lights on, to invest in the business, to help you grow, give you the tools you need, this is what we need at a minimum from you. but here's where we're aiming for, right? And every dollar above that operating plan becomes a positive reinforcement mechanism. People are inspired to say, yeah, we got this far, let's push to the top, right? Because they're not just going to not hit a plan and get beat up, or hit a plan and be a hero and then next year get punished for the growth they had this year. They're being treated like professional business people with full disclosure, right? And they're being empowered as professional adults to know what the true costs are. And by sharing those details, a mini P&L, if you will, with your folks, and saying, this is where we need to get to, and here's why, and having quantifiable proof, believe me, it's very, very empowering. So right now, you have an opportunity. It's July 1. What you do today will drive next year's growth. Don't wait for the calendar flip and assume something magical is going to happen, because it won't. Start building now your strategies, and think about when you get into Q3 and Q4 and those precious times we all sit down with the budget. Think about the difference between the sales targets and the operating plan. And I challenge you to implement both. And I assure you, if you do, you're going to be pleased with the results, and you're going to have a motivated, bought-in staff behind you. So thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Unfiltered, UNPHIL. You get it.